And this is the first programme, Scottish Sessions. So, absolutely delighted. Hello, Mary and Orkney. How are you doing? We want you, as before, hello, Bill, for Texas. That's excellent. We want you to send in messages, please, all the time. Keep in touch with us, folks.
Absolutely.
Let us know where you are. Didn't leave it right to the end. What we've noticed in the past is sometimes 5 minutes before the end, everybody blasts everything in and we can't get it all done.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, listen, folks, a very quick, this is the new show. I think I'm going to play a wee set of tunes tonight, Ross, just to give us a wee set of tunes, to give us a wee minute for folk to tune in.
Absolutely.
Remember, folks, we're live on YouTube tonight as well. So if you want to go to Tartan Tunes, searching for Tartan Tunes on YouTube, you can play it on your telly or whatever you fancy, which would be really great. There's Jason in Denmark as well, and Ali before him. Brilliant. This is fantastic. Thanks for all the likes. We're nearly about 1,000 already, and this is the first show. We're over 1,000 followers. Brilliant. Hello. There's Dick Hamilton. So it's great. We've got two really good guests for you tonight, and we're just so looking forward to this. We've got guests lined up for the next couple of weeks already and everything. But we'll speak to you as we go along. Here's a wee set of tunes to get you going.
What are you going to play tonight, Peter? What's in the menu?
I'm going to do a tune by a guy called Jimmy Ritchie, fiddle player, for doing Europe Way originally, and it's called Helen Blackie in Varan.
Okay.
Jimmy, I think he stayed in Glenelg or somewhere.
All right.
And the second tune is a tune called Bobby McLeod's Visit to Dumfries.
All right.
Which is a nice wee pipe tune with a different flavour written by a guy called Max Ellison many years ago. But written on the box. So this maybe one we'll do in the pipes at some point in time as well.
You're good.
This is wonderful. Seeing all these people joining in, lots of new people joining in. This is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
I hope you enjoy.
Well, there's Big Jamie. How you doing, Jamie? Good
Hi, Jamie. Jamie's been great.
Well, don't you be scaring them away. Play these tunes well. Don't scare them away.
Yeah, I'll play these tunes, and if you want to sing along at any point and do the Alexander Brothers, but just do that. I'm Sandy Mackay. We can do that.
Aye, I'm your man. Aye, of course. Very good, Peter.
Big set of tunes. I'm loving to see all these people, everybody joining in here. Ross, we've got two great guests on tonight. We've got John Dew, the piper, and Gordon Shand, the accordion player. But I thought before we brought John on, the first guest, we could tell the people a wee bit about our aims for the show now and what we would like to do with this show now. Maybe folk have seen us doing a show before, the one through Cape Breton, but we're just wanting to change the format a wee bit and do some slightly different things. So would you like to tell Andy what we're up to?
Yeah, there's a few different things, and you'll fill me in for the bits that I don't maybe prioritise properly. But the thing that we've noticed through the lockdowns, music's been a highlight for everybody. You've done a fantastic job playing every day. I think it was 151 days or 150 days, and it really brought to our attention that there's actually a lot of people all over the world that are permanently locked in and can't get access to music and all sorts. So the brainstorm behind the YouTube channel is so that hospitals, care homes, all these sort of places can access this, whether it's interviews, the radio show, or just music that people donate to us or we put on ourselves. So we want to build up that YouTube channel as strong as we can, so there's hours and hours worth of music in that library for people that can't access music or local stories. So that's one angle that we're looking at. There's also another angle where we want to raise money for a couple of charities as well. So we're going to be looking at different angles that we can use music to do that for these charities that we'll talk about as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think what we'll do, the charities, we've got a busy night tonight because we've still got two guests. So what we'll probably do through the week of that, another plan we're planning to do is, because Ross and I didn't get just as much time to play tunes because our guests are so good, we want to highlight them as much as we possibly can. And that is the aim of the channel now. We want to highlight young, upcoming musicians as well as established musicians and help give them a platform that they can, show you what they're doing, how they're still progressing even in the pandemic we've had in the world, and the projects they're up to, etc., releasing music and all that, and give them just a platform to share that with you, that they can go in and look for their music and purchase it or speak to them or get in touch with them and discuss whatever we're discussing. But we're open to suggestions, and if you ever have any suggestions.
Absolutely. And I've been playing music for, I think, 30. I don't want to tell you. I don't look 35, but I've been playing music for 35 years. And I've learned.
You've got a couple of years longer than me, right enough.
But the amount that I've learned from speaking to the different guests over the last 3 months has completely broadened my spectrum of who. Especially the thing for me is finding out who the guests' inspirations were, and I've spent a lot of time looking at these inspirations for other people, and it's mind blowing what's out there that you would never ever research yourself. So and then for folk that aren't musicians that are enjoying probably our witty charm and repartee, they probably think it's scripted, but it's not. This is actually live.
Oh yeah. So sorry, what were you saying? Oh yeah. Aye. I think one thing I'd like to really point out, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else that's listening out there, is that we're not wanting to make any money out of this. Ross and I are not making any money. We're hoping that any monies. We've got a few things in mind about. Thanks very much. Thanks, Rob. We're hoping that we can have things like a Christmas hamper that'll be full of musical goodies and things like that. Maybe some of the guests can help donate with something that they're doing or something. Yeah. Things like that we'll have an auction. The other one with the YouTube thing is I'm glad to see a few folk watching it on YouTube that have put up already, and that's fantastic. But one thing about the YouTube is if you subscribe to our channel, it doesn't cost you anything, but if you subscribe to it, if we get 1,000 subscriptions, followers, they then have to start paying us wee bits of money for advertising and things like that from YouTube, which will also go to the charities. So we're really not wanting, so that's a wee, bit of inspiration to subscribe. But I'm just so looking forward to it. It's great.
Yeah, and it's like we've been doing this for 3 months now, but we're starting to do the fundraising and a bit of direction to this into the homes and the hospitals, and it's a real feel good thing for both of us.
Yeah,
it really is.
And the YouTube page is going to have more and more and more material on it that you could dearly just leave it running and bore people to pieces.
Yeah, probably need a health one, and
No, but what we're actually doing, and hopefully doing, and we've done it this week already, our guests have even put wee clips onto our YouTube channel as well. So it's going to be a whole mixture of guests and articles and all sorts of things. We're really hoping to broaden this out for you. So, but if you do have any suggestions, mind the theme of this whole thing is Tartan tunes. The YouTube channel's called that. Sorry, the Facebook page is. Our email is tartantunes20@gmail.com. So any suggestions of that, drop us an email. We'd love to hear from you. But keep sending in suggestions tonight.
Suggestions, anything. There's a lot of people that know how to fundraise better than us. So if you've got an easier or a better way to reach out to people, please let us know.
I noticed 5 minutes ago at my phone that it flashed up that our next guest has just subscribed to YouTube.
Just in time.
Just in time for our YouTube channel.
Good stuff.
Anyway, listen, I think we will get on, and I think we'll hopefully bring on a guest. Ross, this is someone that you came up with as an idea to have on as a guest, and I'm really looking forward to this.
So am I. So the next guest that we've got is a great piper he's actually not going to play he's going to play the whistle for us tonight, and his name's John Dew, and he's from Pitlochry. And
evening, John.
John. How you doing, John? He's not from Pitlochry, he's from Perthshire. That's what I meant to say, Perthshire.
Are you from Crieff originally? Oh, can you switch your mic on, John? We can't hear you.
There we are. Cool.
Yeah. Right, good. That's good.
Good. We're good to go.
John, thanks for giving up some of your Sunday and coming on to the show.
Delighted to be here. It's really good to be here.
And congratulations, you're the youngest guest we've had on, which I hope is something that we'll beat pretty soon. Actually, we want to try and get something youth on. I think you might expand on that later, but maybe you can. You'll be the best person to give us a little bit of a background on yourself, if you'd like to do that for us.
Sure. So I started playing pipes at school. I had a very good teacher called Anne Spalding, who was pretty hard to please, but she was very good. But she just kind of, like, in terms of technique and musicality, she just set such a good foundation. So then I went on to secondary school, and I had a number of very good teachers that all kind of taught me. In my first couple of years, it was like solo piping and pipe bands. And then that eventually grew into more solo playing, competitive, and then getting into a lot of the folk music. So the two last teachers at that school were both graduates of the what was the RSAMD, which is now the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and they had a foot in the door in terms of all kinds of piping, world piping, pipe bands, solo piping, folky piping, European piping, tattoos. They all had all the CDs, all the programs, everything. So, they were able to answer pretty much every question you had about pipe, which was great. And it wasn't just the bog standard March to Space rails, 6/8 and stuff. They were they're encouraging you to push the boat out and like learning kind of a lot tougher tunes and kind of more virtuosic stuff than just trying to get into playing MSR well, so yeah, that kind of happened at school. But whilst I was still at school, the school I went to did the English system of exams. So I did A-levels, and I did A-level music, and that was hugely, I had a huge emphasis on Western classical music. So everything I understand about music came from a Western classical music point of view. So I learned like Western classical harmony, counterpoint, figured bass, history, more theory, loads of theory, and it was really pretty tough going. But that's kind of like my kind of musical background in my head. And
What were these schools then, Joe? What was the secondary school you went to then?
I went to
Wait a minute, Peter's got his Peter's. What you saying, Peter?
Can I ask, what's secondary school?
Strathallan School.
No, I did go to secondary school, honestly.
Right, so that was at Strathallan,
So that, yeah.
and then so did that mean to have that classical input? Did you have to have a secondary instrument, or did you have something?
Actually, no. When it came to doing A-level music, you only had to perform the performance aspect of it. You only had to do the one instrument.
Really?
You could do pretty much do what you want. The real only requirement for the performance was it had to be minimum 6 minutes. So if you wanted to, you could do 20 minutes on 20 instruments if you wanted to, but it can't be up. But yeah, like it was pretty liberal. Because I know with higher you've got to have 2, which I would have struggled with.
It's changed a good bit even since I was at school and done hires, but I wasn't allowed to do accordion and piano. They were classed as too similar.
Right.
That's not the case now.
Yeah.
But I done pipes and accordion. But I think this year's caused absolute chaos with this pandemic because the exam system's been all over the place. And I think an awful lot of places, even the practical side of the exam hasn't actually been counted in the mark this year, which is strange.
Yeah.
So that's a strong, like Strathallan, and that's a strong educational background and musical background. I know how much they support that there.
Yeah, well, when the new younger teachers came in, they just came in with so much kind of fire and enthusiasm. They were really keen to try and integrate piping into like all the other ensembles. Because before, if we had a concert, it would be like, right, pipe band open, and they play their marches, and it was kind of seen as, oh yeah, that's all very nice. Whereas when those 2 teachers came in, they said, right, how are we going to include the pipes in the orchestra? How are we going to integrate jazz into it? And they really brought it together.
And I think that's something that over the last 10 years, there's a spectrum of that over the last 10 years that's never been seen. If you look at the Red Hot Chili Peppers, people like Lincoln Hilton, Ross Ainsley, like kids now are speaking about a completely different thing to what I remember, and I'm twice your age, John. I know it doesn't look like that, but like when I was growing up, it was a completely different setup. But like you were in, and you were going through when all that was available for kids. You were learning that, so you're right in the roots of all that, because you after Strathallan, you've went to the kind of top level of pipe band composing, and solo competing as well, haven't you?
Yeah, well, kind of. I suppose that all kind of influenced it. But I know you said just there that it was slightly a different story back from when you were playing. But if I'm honest, there were a couple of times when I was just starting, and I would talk about some really, really good virtuosic pipers like Gordon Duncan or Ernest McDonald and all these people, and I'd speak to other older pipers that I would almost kind of look into, and some of them would just turn their noses up at it, like and they would kind of be like, oh, it's not real piping, and I'm as a youngster, I'm like, like I was just so confused because I was like, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. Why is it being discouraged? But then these new young teachers came in. They came in and they were like, all right, you like Gordon Duncan? Oh, well, if you like that, you're like this. And it's like, oh, right. So you're actually giving me a bit of freedom to like think about it or approach it in this way or play this kind of music. And they were like, yeah. And it was great. Yeah.
Well, I think the instrument was a very, very restricted instrument, wasn't it? And it's a shame that it almost wasn't looked upon as the full scope of a musical instrument. Because I was thinking about that today when I was swimming about in the sea, and I was thinking about things I was going to ask you, and one of the things was, which we'll go on to later, I think, in your orchestral compositions you've been working on,
Yeah.
and how piping maybe influenced them. But I think we'll go into that in a wee while. Do you fancy giving us a wee tune? On
Yeah,
the
I'll
left?
give you a quick tune.
Which
So,
one?
so this is a tune that is good time for promotion. This is a tune that's actually on my EP, which is currently being mixed. I put I gave you guys the cover for it. So that's on Facebook, so you should be able to see that. So the EP is called The High Bridge Walk. It's just kind of 20-25 minutes worth of tunes that I've written or worked on, and yeah. So this is one of the tunes from it. It's called Willie Coleman's Jig.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Take it away, John. Take it away.
Fantastic, sir. Super.
It was good to be playing live again, actually.
Yeah, that was great.
It was scary, actually.
So the journey from secondary school, Sir Stalin, as it were, was to the degree course, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So, well, just to go back slightly, so when I did A-level music, I was learning orchestral composition. Because before, I was writing loads of tunes. I was writing for folk ensembles and maybe a bit of piano, but not much. And they were really encouraging. But then I got to A-level music, and they said, you can't keep doing that if you want to get a good mark. If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be lucky to pass this component of the module. So what I essentially had to do was learn how to orchestrate what I wanted to write, and write in a kind of broader style of music rather than just folk. So the assignment was to write a piece of music called A River's Tale or The River's Journey or something. And so I chose River Tay in Scotland, and I kind of thought about all the different scenes and what I'd see, flying fish or like rapids or whatever, and you had to kind of depict that with music. And over that kind of course, I got really interested in film music. And I remember my teacher actually kind of hammered us a little bit. He was like, yeah, you'll all be lucky if you pass or whatever. And he was like, it's impossible to get 100%. And I worked really hard, and I was like, right, I kind of feel like all my hard work's been kind of devalued or whatever. And,
So sounds like a bundle of joy, this teacher you had.
Yeah.
if you watched, I'm sorry, you were a great teacher, but you worked very hard on us. Anyway, actually, it was 2 nights before the Worlds, or 2 days before the Worlds. I got my results, and I got like really bad results, except for music. And in that module where he told us we couldn't get 100%, I got 100%. So it was a big middle finger for him. Anyway, so after that, I kind of felt right. It was a big booster, composition-wise. I don't know. So after that, I was like, I'd really like to pursue composing, or particularly for film, because I just really enjoyed coming up with a storyline with the music and having a backdrop of film for it, because I ended up doing a slideshow of pictures, and it was about trying to match the music with the picture, and I just really enjoyed that. So over.
So you're talking about the film that the film that you're talking about there. Is that your film, or is that composing music like
Well, it
to
wasn't a film; it was more of a slideshow of pictures.
but it's all your own stuff though. It's like music to a visual journey, as it were.
Yeah, it was a bit of both. Yeah, but it was just pictures I'd gotten off the internet or something. It was just for a wee concert. But yeah, so after that point, I really wanted to pursue film music, but more specifically, I wanted to pursue fusing folk music or Scottish music with the classical idiom, and try and bring those together. In particular, and have a view to use that in film, because I felt like it was just something I could do, having knowledge in both fields.
So yeah,
You know,
what you're sorry, Peter, what you're talking about there, on you go, Peter.
Something that drives me utterly crazy. Every time there's a Scottish movie or Scottish thing and bagpipes are depicted in it, it's Uilleann pipes, it's Irish pipes it's played.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for that.
Well, there is. It's the range. It's the range of the chanter. Yeah, like
no, but why not write another tune that could work?
Well,
exactly. So that was actually one of my motives.
Yeah.
But with taking a step back, you can incorporate it well. I don't know. But if you also think about it, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough one. You go on.
I find it very encouraging that you're incredibly music. I think pipers now are starting to become more and more musical and starting to be a bit more aware of theory, etc. Like you were speaking about there, harmony, all sorts of stuff like that. They are better now than when I was young and learning 45 years ago when I learned the pipes. An A was an A, and there was nothing else in the world but one A. That was it.
Yeah.
And there was 9 notes, and nobody knew
at
all where they.
And back in your day, Peter, it didn't matter if you tuned your drones to that same A or not. It was
it's still the way I work to this day.
But an interesting thing, like John, you are the youngest person that we've had on, and already what you've talked about in that time that you've had is, I don't know, probably about 80% more music than I've ever done in my whole life. You know, and it's incredible that there's that much young people out there with such a, and it'll be a great thing for if you look at the amount of people that are coming out of the conservatoire and going into schools and to teach now with that other bunch of experiences. I think there's a lot of good things that will come out of that. I think there's a lot of good things that will come out of that, and it's incredible at a young age all that is there.
Did you find? I mean, obviously, pipes was your first instrument. So, do you find that's influenced into your orchestral composition? Pipes being on the Mixolydian type scale, etc., etc.
Well, no. It's more like I've learned how to play an instrument to a certain level. And it's all about thinking, right, I'm going to be writing for other instruments, I'm going to be writing for other musicians. What makes a piece of music challenging, or what makes it easy to play, or, if you've got a really cool riff, you think, I really enjoy playing that. And what I kind of thought was, I need to write, or I'd like to write music that people either find challenging and want to challenge themselves, or it's enjoyable to play to the point where they would get a piece of music and they go, yes, I really like what he's doing there.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the main influence. But in terms of how it's influenced my orchestral writing, in terms of the playing side, not much. But what I really do enjoy doing is taking something like Cuba or a slow air and putting it, like kind of orchestrating it in a bit more of a soundscape, or taking like certain stories. I don't know. I mean, a really good, one of my favorite composers is Ray Vaughan Williams, because he took all these English melodies and kind of did something with them. I really like a lot of what he did, and then you get people like Bartok that are able to. They took it to the next level where they said, right, well, here's this folk piece, but how can I make this string quartet, for example, sound like it's a session, or how can I, or how are we able to incorporate the heterophony rather than just taking the bars,
Yeah.
doing and harmonizing it. There's so much that like I've learned at the conservatoire about doing that kind of thing, as well as learning, well, just 19th century harmony, 21st century harmony, and just thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm right in saying that you graduated this year,
Yeah.
or would have technically, or did.
Yeah,
So
I'm still,
obviously, but like because if there's folk that don't know that are listening, you also play in the top pipe band in the world as well. So how you have time to study and do anything else and play in a top end pipe band's beyond me. But have you found that this lockdown period has let you find what you're talking about there when you talk about finding that way of finding the creation of music or taking stuff outside the bar to fit a visual thing? Have you found a bit of time in that this year? Do you think that?
I have actually. And I remember last year, I was competing I was doing the solos and the band, so I was competing at least once or twice every week, if not more. And that's not just weekends. Sky's in the middle of the week, Colin's middle of the week. So I was doing those as well, and I really did struggle to figure out how to, get or like think creatively.
I think we should mention, because you've not actually mentioned what pipe band you play with.
It's Inverarian District.
Yeah.
Inverarian District.
Just for all the viewers out there, you
Mhm.
can't get much better just now.
No, it doesn't get better.
Yeah, well, I think having the conservatoire education helps because it's almost like, I don't know, you're getting taught at such a standard that when it comes to the bands, it's like, you're just keeping it going really. It's not about changing or like having to step it up a gear. You're being taught at a level where you can take what you
academia is one thing where you're in a classroom and you've got a certain module to learn or a time scale to do it, but it's a completely different thing when you've got to get dressed up, play with the team, and cross the line. It's a completely different. So is playing with a pipe band or a top level pipe band, because it's not just Inverary. There's loads of pipe bands that have got young people from the conservatoire there. But do you think that that competing at that top level, it must be a massive like confidence thing for a young person to be at that level and be tested at that level
Yeah.
through the season, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you feel necessarily the confidence until you've done it. It's one of those things where the guys prep you and they keep you well on your feet and they keep you thinking. So you're thinking so much, you're concentrating so much, you cross the line and then you come back and you think. Then you take a step back and you go, oh, I've actually done this. I actually have played in that arena. You almost don't have time to think about that because the demand for what they're asking you to do is so high.
It is high.
Yeah, but
I played in grade 1 30 odd year ago, and I think the grade 3 bands would whip us now.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
The standards just went sky high.
Yeah,
The standards unreal. You could talk about this all night. I wonder, John, have you got another wee set of tunes you'd like to play?
I was quite happy to keep talking. Actually, I hadn't.
Oh, yeah. I think the other thing, like we could talk about pipe bands all night, and that's never a great subject. But your composition thing, I think.
Yeah.
Quite like
Tell us what projects you've got on the go then before we have to lose you, because we want to hear what you're doing, where people can find this stuff, etc.
Yeah. So when it comes to piping, what I've been working on is polyphonic textures within a chamber group of pipers. So there's a couple of big suites that I've been working on. So I've got several trios, quartets, and I've just finished a project which it's kind of like Steve Reich inspired, where it's 4 pre-recorded small pipes and then a live set of small pipes, and that's another time I suppose, but it's a 40-minute piece that looks at different rhythmic textures that are going on between all them. So that's what I work on with the piping stuff. But the main thing I'm looking at is accompanying bagpipes with strings, and like people like Donald Shaw, the Great Orchestra, Patrick Doyle. I'm trying to think of a couple other people that have done that kind of thing. Greg Lawson. But that's something I'm really interested in doing. and that's kind of fusing bagpipes and classical music. So those, that's what I've been working on.
If you're looking for strings, Ross is learning the 5-string banjo as well. He could come along and
Brilliant.
Yeah.
give you a plug.
Completely ruin it for you, to be honest. Where can we find all that? You're talking about your EP as well, and your composition stuff that you're working on. Where can people find that? Because I know a lot of people that have, like you said about this year, having time to find out and actually get their roots back into music again. There's lots of people looking for this. Where can we find it?
So the best place to go would be Bandcamp, because that's probably the best supporting for the artists. Like I say, my EP is just being mixed at the moment.
It's in the post.
It's nearly ready. It's not quite released yet, but the best place to go is bandcamp.com. You can find pretty much any artist there. Similarly, Spotify and Apple Music, they're really good as well. But also, if you just go onto artists' website, I'm sure they've still got physical copies. I love getting physical copies through the door. I think it's brilliant. You see all the artwork, you see all the credits and all the tunes and stuff. If you just get it on the phone, it's like, is that meant to be a fish or a set of pipes or a box? So yeah, but generally speaking, Bandcamp is the best place to go because you can buy digital and physical.
Fantastic.
I'm posting it first,
That's good.
and then I'll also have physical copies ready to be shipped out if people want to buy it.
And if I can just say, folks, if you look on our Tartan Tunes Facebook page, all the details are there of our guests. They're posted up there now. There's emails, there's websites, everything. So if you want to get in touch with any of the guests, sure you can do that. Drop them an email if you've got some stuff you want to ask or something.
Facebook page, whatever, email, and I'm happy to give out. If you like any of the tunes I write, I'm happy to give out some sheet music or point you in the right direction.
Brilliant.
And that's definitely this is exactly what this show's about. Is getting you guys out, like another place to tell that to people, because there's loads of folk.
And the other question I had quickly before you go, did you ever learn anything in the beer tent as well? Did you ever learn much in the beer tent?
What's a beer tent?
That's the story of 2020. What's a beer tent?
In all seriousness, Peter, if I'm being totally honest, the thing I learned about the beer tent is if you go to the beer tent, it's so social and people have some of the most bizarre, amazing stories to tell.
Yeah.
And it's like a great place to have a laugh. And part of me thinks, well, I want to be one of I want to turn up and see some mates and have some stories to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of the whole, part of the parcel. Part of the whole thing.
But I want to be that guy.
The other thing I noticed in your write-up, just to show people that you're a real human being, not only music, you're mega into sports as well, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Which so am I. I mean, I'm into outside swimming now in the sea and stuff like that, and jogging and. But I noticed you're into football at the uni and everything.
Yeah, well, I helped run the RCS 5s and 7s because it's such an arty place. There's not that many sport. There's plenty of people that do sport, but it's not really a big enough institution to have its own independent. It's not like Glasgow Uni or Strathclyde. It's not really big enough to have its own thing. So a bunch of us got together and we ran a club. And
right, I don't know how you've had time to do all this stuff. I really. I like Jamie's comment there as well. Piper, beer tent? Nah.
Yeah, I was speaking to Jamie today, and we had a mention about the beer tent today, and the beer tent is actually a massive part of that because, it's one of these things where so many people with common interests meet, and they're all on a high, or there's a massive buzz in the beer tent about everything, and you never forget that, and you could meet them in the shop or like 2 years later and you go straight back to that great story that you heard or the great tune you heard or that thing. It's a great environment. It is.
Yeah.
Great environment. It should be more beer tent.
Some of the stories you hear there as well, you could swear they were never true.
Oh yeah, you could write it. You couldn't write half the stuff.
They probably hadn't. Why should they be?
There was some beauties. There was some beauties.
Good stuff.
But anyway, listen, John, it's been fantastic having you on, sir.
Thank you for having me. And
No,
hopefully,
great stuff. Good luck. Good luck for the winter and your projects. Now you've fled the nest of the degree course. You're your own man now. Now you've got to do all this stuff, eh?
I know.
Yeah, I'm actually halfway through a master's in music and environment, and it's kind of a similar idea. You're writing about the environment and all that kind of stuff, but I've kind of cold halt halfway through for a wee while just to take a wee break. But
Yeah, it's good.
it's really interesting. And I live in a lovely place to start sitting right about scenery up in Shetland. You know, it's quite a nice place to stay. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
But there's only so many whales you can write about, right, you know? And puffins. Things. But John,
Good luck with your music, John. Absolutely good luck with your music.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Yvonne. Thanks for giving up your time this Sunday.
It's all right.
Thanks,
And
sir.
good luck with the rest of the show. It's
Thank you. Aye.
Thank
And
you,
if you know any places this show would be watched, spread the news. Eh?
Yeah, you can go down. You can go down in history. You were the first guest ever in this new show.
Really?
Aye, there you go.
Privilege.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Cheers.
See you later on. Thanks, John. Good on you.
Well, there we go. A very musical young man there.
Very musical.
So
musical, I didn't know half the stuff he was talking about.
You've done a very good job of just nodding at the right place.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, there's a talent one.
Counterpoint.
Ensemble. I've done that.
Yeah, you could be a pipe band judge, no bother at all.
Aye.
But, no, great though. Great to
Good, and all the way through that, we weren't really noticing, but all the way through that, we're getting some great comments in.
Yeah, very innovative approach.
Aye, and do you know something? Like on a serious note, like this is the shift change on there is it, and there's two ways to look at this. I know we might be in different camps here. I'm in the middle of both actually. The beer tent, you're right, John, absolutely right. But there is a huge amount of young people that are coming through with a massive amount of musical knowledge, but there's a massive dark art behind music as well that can only be learned over like decades as well. So it'll be interesting to meet that middle ground in this.
Well, it will though, but they will as they grow and mature in their own musical careers. They'll end up with a combination of both.
They'll still need to take advice from the likes of you and me, Peter. That's
aye. Well, they can work here. They can just, they can message us on Tartan Tunes 20@gmail.com.
Aye. Free advice. We'll support your degree course.
One thing I was saying there, we're maybe going to start doing a wee quick broadcast through the week, a Tuesday or a Wednesday night, maybe. Yeah. What we'll do is a couple of tunes or something like that each or something, and just have a wee blather and tell you folks every week who our guests are going to be the following week. We'll maybe just recap and say how good our guests were last week, and then say, by the way, we've got on next week. And we actually know who we've got next week, but we're not telling you tonight. It's a surprise. We'll tell you on Wednesday or something. So, but it's going to be good, and that way it'll just keep us in touch that wee bit more. Ross, have you got your pipes tonight?
I do. They'll be really out of tune now, but I'll play them anyway.
There's nothing new.
No.
Hello, Mary. How are you doing? There's Mary in California.
Aye. How you doing, Mary?
Imagine if you were in the temperature in California. What would your pipes be like there?
Aye, probably better than this, to be honest.
Do you know when I went to Ghana to teach?
This story again.
No, it's not. It's a different one. I went and I took my kilt and all that, and my pipes completely dried out. They just I took them out the case, and everything fell to pieces. And then the soles fell off my gilly brogues. The glue went, and then even the glue that held my chain on and my sporn and that, it went. Everything. It was just a shambles. I looked homeless in Ghana.
I was on the tattoo in 2017, and they do a thing on every night where there's like obviously 200 of the tickets are the top end tickets, and they go up to the castle and they have like a mini Highland night, and it's like haggis and pipers, and it's whoever the lone piper is for that night is the piper that goes in and pipes the haggis in and
yeah.
does a toast and all the rest. It was a wee thing. Anyway, the piper in our band that we had at the time got a phone call. Where are you? He says, there's a taxi waiting for you. And he was like, what are you talking about? He said, well, yours. And he got in a fluster. He got changed and he went, he went up to do this. So he went all the way up to the castle to pipe for these 200 dignitaries for the Edinburgh tattoo that night. And he was there. And Gareth Nodes, that texted earlier, he was the drummer that was going to be drumming with him. And they went to pipe in the haggis. And when he pulled his pipes out his box, he never had a blow stick with him. He'd left that drying in the room.
No.
So there was no, but he was supposed to be the lone piper that night. So they had to get a taxi back to the barracks to get the blow stick back for him in time for the show and for the lone piper. But then just before he went on as lone piper, he was in a bit of a fluster and he took his chanter out and the reed fell out. The whole lot fell out. Aye, so just before he went on to be the lone piper, aye, a lucky man. But he did a great job. He did a great job. But
yeah,
what,
I've done that a few times. I remember going down to this wee local market and just outside Kumasi in Ghana, and this wee guy was selling super glue, and I bought about 14 tubes of it to stick my shoes back together, my sporting.
Size of your feet? What size of your feet?
My feet, I'm 13s. So, but then I had to go back the next day because I didn't have enough glue, and he's I'm sold out. But he found me more by the next day, and then he started turning up at the house actually, just with glue. Anyway, take it away, sir.
Right, I'm going to play a few reels. I've gotten a habit that I wish I never did because it's too nerve wracking on a Sunday night. But I try and learn a new set every week, which is what I'm not used to now. But I'm going to play a set of reels. The first reel is an Alan McDonald reel called Tartan House.
Okay.
And then a few traditional reels after it. Dinky's The Sisters reel, Women of the House, and Drochet Klutchich, which is probably pronounced terribly. So
Lindsay Weir and Colin Garvin watching there. I wrote a tune for Lindsay at one point in time many years ago called The Inside Out Fish Eater.
The Inside Out Fish Eater. Well, I've got a fish eating nickname, which I'll tell you about. I'll tell you about a different day.
Just play the tune.
That was Pipe Sergeant Angus Clark of the Atholl Highlanders that gave him, and I'll never forget him.
No, quite a man.
Right, I'll go for these reels.
Go for it. Woo! Very good.
Couple of wee internet glitches there. I think your microphone was on, Peter.
Ah, sorry.
That's all right. That's grand.
You like,
Oh, yeah, some reels anyway.
like I've went for the new look.
Oh, you have, eh? Look at you. You're looking very dapper.
What do you think?
Not bad, actually, eh?
It's because everybody other lads just kept putting in messages and things saying that you look handsome with your tie on and all that kind of stuff. Thought I may as well give that a go.
Well, you're cutting the grass now, Peter. That's it. I'm going to have to look for I'm coming with a superhero cape next week.
Nah, I just thought we'd do it though. A lot of fun there. Sorry. Did you hear me rustling away to change
Aye, I heard it. Yeah, it wasn't. It was watching you getting dressed that put me off there. It's not. Because I can see. The viewers can't see the other screens that's on air. I was watching you get dressed there.
I can't actually see my little thing that says mute here.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. It's fine.
Cam can do it for me when she's through the back. Just a big thank you to my wife, Cam. She's through the back. She's ghost moderating again, or whatever they call that fancy term. And it's great. She's doing a great job with us.
Aye, great job, great job.
And we've got all our bits and bobs going on.
And you said she was a singer, and she might come on and sing one night for us.
Yeah, delightful. Yeah. That'll be like a fairy tale. Grim.
Very smart boys. There's Douglas Well.
You missed my joke there. I said that'd be like a fairy tale. Grim.
Aye, Brothers Grimm.
Anyway, right. Listen.
Tartan Shan's on next, I believe.
One of my favourite accordion composers ever. I've got a huge respect for him composing stuff for the accordion, and now he's bringing out pipe books, so we're about to speak to him. Hi, Gordon.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Gordon. How you doing?
Are you well?
Yeah, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
no bother. It's delightful to
Thanks for
have you.
making time.
How's sunny Dunfermline on the night? Has it been not bad?
I think the weather's not too bad. Better than it's been the last few days, that's for sure.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We're just in there. Gordon, you're very well known for writing tunes for the box.
Yep.
And we're going to be covering a few things tonight. You've got a new book of pipe music as well. Pipe music written on the box. And we're going to speak about that. But tell me, first of all, did I read somewhere, you play the 5-row button box?
That's correct, Peter, yeah.
But you started in a piano box.
I did. I did,
Ah.
actually. There's a wee story attached even just to how I even started on the accordion, because it was at primary school and it was, I'm sure it was primary 5, and there was actually a fiddle place was up for grabs. But there was 3 of us in the school that wanted to play the fiddle at that time. So the head teacher decided that we'd need to do a singing test. So that's
good.
Playing
That's
the
useful.
accordion, doing the fiddle. So what happened was I went away home crying to my mum, saying I never got the fiddle place. So she says, "Don't worry, son, don't worry about that." But my dad, he's still alive and still gives a wee tune, but my dad played a wee 2-row button box, a wee double ray, Honer,
Okay.
double ray. And that was always in the house, so there was always wee tunes at parties and that, and kind of fascinated with that. And I went into Stirling one day with my mum, and there was a music shop there called Hayes Music Shop in Stirling. It's no longer there.
Nice.
But there was a wee accordion in the window, and my mum says, "How do you fancy trying the accordion?" And it was a wee piano box. So we went in, and I only found this bit out the other day when I was speaking to my dad, but seemingly my mum phoned my dad, who was working on a building site in Perth at the time, and said, "Is it okay if we buy this accordion?" It was £30. And my dad went, "Aye, of course, buy that." We then got a phone call about 10 minutes later saying, "Is it okay if we can buy the case?" He says, "How much is the case?" The case was £40. And I only found that out the other day, that the actual case was more than the box. So what happened after that was that we asked around, and there was a local music teacher, accordion, and she taught piano. It was a woman called Mrs. Steele in Alva. And I stayed until the Curry of the Hillfoots at the time. So I went for lessons there on the piano box, but I only lasted about 6 months because I was getting a gold star every week when I wasn't practicing, and I think my mum and dad sussed it out, you know. So they moved me on to a teacher called Bob Dalrymple, and Bob was based in Kincardine, and his main instrument was the 5-row.
Sure.
And although he did teach the piano box, but what he said to me was that because I was quite small and I had quite a small span on my hand, that he said you'd be better suited to the 5-row because the scale, as you know,
Makes
Peter,
sense.
the scale's a lot tighter, if you like. So
Yeah.
and plus, when he said, "Do you want to play the button box?" and I thought, I've always been fascinated with my dad playing this wee 2-row button box.
Yeah.
So
Get
I
this,
actually moved on to the 5-row, and I can mind taking it home and getting a tune at it the night I brought it back to the house. But I thought I was doing great, but I was actually playing it. I was playing it across the way to get a tune it instead of up and down.
Oh, aye.
Bob soon put me right the next week when I went back and said, "Listen to this, I can play a tune." So he just about took the head off me at that point.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was the start.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
Is that,
Do you fancy
I
getting
think-
us a wee tune on that 5-row box? Have you got them sitting there?
Yeah, I'll give it a bash.
I think
Yeah.
to try and explain the button box to somebody that doesn't play music is nearly impossible. I think. Like, how could you?
So
If you didn't play music, how would you do that? I don't know. It's hard.
I don't play much solo these days, Peter, as you know. It's all mainly with the band, but
Right, you've won in the past. Though, you've won all these championships playing solo and everything.
That was a long time ago.
I'm sure you'll hand it together. I don't know about you, Gordon, but I've been the same. I've nearly learned myself to have to play solo again because I haven't been able to see the boys in the band for about the last 6 months. And exactly the same as you, hardly ever played the box unless there was folk around to book me. And then all of a sudden, I've been playing now for the last 6 months, sitting myself.
Well, I was going to say probably my piano box skills are probably slightly better now because all my kids play piano box.
Yeah,
Actually pick the piano box up and have more of a tune on that than this one. But I'm going to give it a go. It's a couple of tunes out my new pipe book called Journey, and the tunes I'm going to play is the first one's called Ella Mickey, and it was written for. It was actually a couple of friends of ours, John and Isabel. Their granddaughter Ella is a keen, very young piper, and I think she plays with Ellen in District Pipe Band.
Okay.
But I got to see a wee video of her playing. She's only young, I think she's about 13 or 14. So composed a wee tune for her called Ella Mickey. And the second one is called Fraser McInnes of Tobermory. And you'll know Fraser. Fraser's a well-known dance band drummer. And
absolutely.
Bit of a character, but he's a great guy and he's a great
yes.
drummer. So I'm going to try these two tunes anyway and see how we go.
Fantastic. Take it away, Gordon. Brilliant.
Take it away, Gordon. You.
Thank you very much, Gordon. Magic tunes, great. Somebody in British Columbia there just saying they were loving it.
Brilliant. I played in the Ellen District Pipe Band for 4 years there.
Aye,
A while back. I used to work offshore and I stayed in Ellen.
right.
So 2014 to 16, I think it was, or 2013 to 16, around about that time. Aye.
Brilliant.
Good.
What's it? It looks like we're tuning it into the news. What's that mean?
Don't
No
know.
idea. Great tunes. They were great tunes. Brilliant.
Thanks.
And you mentioned your book, your Scottish, or your pipe tunes book that's just come out, and I've been watching it. There's a bit of a theme to that. Everybody seems to be taking a photograph of it wherever they are with it. It's doing its rounds. It's doing really, really well.
It's doing well. It's probably doing better than expected because, although I'm I'm known in the Scottish dance band world and accordion circles in general, but I'm completely unknown in the piping world. So it's actually been really exciting. I've enjoyed pardon the pun, but I've enjoyed the journey to get the book published. And there's been a few people that have been very instrumental in helping me with the project. Very much a bit of a team, really. And one of the guys I'll mention to start with is Kyle Rowan. Kyle's a fantastic young accordionist, but he's also a fine piper as well. And I approached Kyle probably a couple of years ago and asked if he'd be interested in helping me put this together. And he said, yeah, absolutely. And at that time, I wanted to do it, but just like everything in the world goes that fast, and there was just so many other things on the go. I never got around to it. And then when we were in the lockdown period, there was nothing much to do, even though I was working a bit, but even you couldn't really go anywhere. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something that I've always wanted to do, something off the bucket list, if you like. And I phoned Kyle and asked him if he would still be up for giving me a hand, and he said he would love to. He said he had finished his studies at uni, and so that's how it kind of came about. And
so did Kyle kind of put the pipe embellishments in for you and things like that then? Did he?
Yeah, I mean, just about all the tunes I scored on MuseScore myself, good, probably 80% of them, and I sent them to Kyle, and Kyle then put them into. He was actually using Bagpipe Writer. Was the format. But the good thing about Kyle is he was finishing the tunes and then he was sending me them as audios as well, so I could already listen just to make sure I was happy with them.
Did you deliberately write this book for pipers, or because I know a few box players and they love playing 2/4 like pipe, like, and you hear it and take the floor all the time. And here's a set of pipe marches, or here's a set, like it must be. Because it must restrict the range that you play in. But so what's good about that? Why is that? Why is it a good thing? Why did you write a book with pipe music? Is it how did that happen? And why do box players like pipe music?
I don't know, but it probably goes all the way back to even in my childhood with the records that my parents, particularly my dad, had in the house. So you were listening to people like Bobby McLeod and Callum McLean from Tobermory, and they played a lot of pipe music as well as other types of music as well. And I just liked the tunes, And then when I eventually started my own Scottish dance band, I just wanted to try and not be different for the sake of it, but just wanted to try and bring in different tunes that were good tunes, but that the Scottish dance band world had maybe not heard before. And I would rake.
Yeah. Well, I think that's so incredibly important, and I think that's a statement that you've made in an extremely positive way, because the thing I really like about your composing, and even like the accordion stuff and all that, and I've told you this yourself before, but it's still in that idiom It's not went too far out of the idiom, the genre of music that you've lost it and it's become something else. It's still there. It's melodies. It's really strong melodies that people can sing and whistle back, and I think that's really incredibly important. And I really like the way you've done that, and then developing onto the pipe. Yeah, it's amazing how many tunes we can get out in 9 notes. It's quite incredible.
It is incredible.
It's absolutely amazing, and I think the piping thing is pipe music's always been kind of played in the box. Jigs, reels, everything. You know, it's all dancing music at the beginning.
Dance,
At the end of the day, you know, and it's just because I mean you're one of the very few people, Gordon, I think I know that's done a whole broadcast on Take the Floor playing all your own tunes. You played a whole session and done nothing but everything you'd written yourself. And I don't think anybody else has ever done that. I don't think they have.
I don't think so, but I was quite felt quite honoured to be asked
Absolutely.
to take the floor at that point. But you never know, as a composer, the one thing that acid test is really, it's not what you think of the tunes, it's what other people think of the tunes, really. And
yeah.
when that session came out, you know, you're just hoping that people will like it, or they didn't say, "Oh, that's another Gordon Shand tune." But I was actually really encouraged by the response to it, and
it's great.
And I think that's what's kept me going. Be people saying, "Oh, I like that tune," or you know, it could be a waltz, even it could be a polka or whatever in the Scottish dance band scene. But just to get that encouragement, just allows you to makes you want to keep going, you know.
Because bar the new pipe book just now, Journey, you've had other books out before. How many collections have you got out now? You've got.
Well, I think if you include Journey, Journey's my third
one.
book.
You had two before for box stuff.
Yeah.
Great books, both of them. Where can folk buy all these books?
Really, I think they're stocked in some of the main kind of music shops. I know there's a music shop in Oban, Music Scotland.
I think the first one's called The Force is Strong. Is that right? The Force is Strong.
Yeah, the first one's The Force is Strong, but they're all available off my website,
right?
Which is not the one that we're showing just now, so
it's not John Dew, no.
It's not John Dew. John Dew's got nothing to do with this one. That's the one.
That's the one.
There we go. Aye.
But
we'll let her off. She's done pretty good.
No, she's done great. But no, there's a shop on my website, so the books are available on that, along with some of the band CDs that I've done over the years as well. But
which I highly recommend. Great innovative arrangements. Really, really good. You've had some great band members over the years, like Keith Dixon and Jim Lindsay and folk like that, and real cracking players.
Well, I mean that's one of the things I'll be the first to say to everybody that I speak to about my band is the band is a very, very, I feel very, very fortunate because they're all absolutely terrific musicians. So you're only as good as the people that surround you. And these guys are brilliant. But my ethos has always been, I'll come up with maybe an original idea, but I want their input. I don't want it to be so regimented that they feel they have to play absolutely every chord or every note that I've written out. I want them to say, Gordon, that's fine, but what about trying that chord in there? What about trying that harmony? And the thing with, like, say, Jim Lindsay, he's just quite unique as well. He comes away with some absolutely brilliant harmonies, you know.
Amazing stuff, yeah. And then a drummer like Gordon Smith, of course.
Well,
Gordon comes away with things. Gordon's really quite innovative with his ideas and progressive with them, which is quite good.
Aye, Gordon's very instrumental, and again, and he's so passionate about the music. You know, he's that enthusiastic, and ex-pipe band drummer as well.
Yeah.
Loves the pipe music, but
Preston Pans, Royal British Legion.
Yeah, but he'll say, "What about this Shand? Does this work?" And comes back with ideas, and I love that. And so everybody's happy when we eventually record something. Everybody's happy with the arrangement, and then that's it, you know.
Absolutely,
that's good. That's a great leadership quality then to have.
But I think your pipe book, the new one that's out. I mean, as Ross said earlier, it's making big time on the internet here just now. And even I noticed a review the day for Alan Tully for St Lawrence O'Toole pipe band, the pipe major. Now you can't get much better than that. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I was again. I mentioned young Kyle Owen, but there's another chap that you know well yourself is Davy Hunter.
Yeah.
When I initially had the idea of doing a pipe book, I contacted Ross Ainsley because I'd bumped into Ross a couple of times and got to know him a wee bit, and asked him who would you recommend for doing a book of pipe tunes, and he says Davy Hunter. So I contacted Davy. That was a couple of years ago, and then when this all came up again, I contacted him. And apart from being really good at pulling the book together, he actually just contacted me one night and said, "Oh, and by the way, nice, he's got his website there, but he said that, but by the way, I've put your book out for review." And I was like, "All right, who have you put it out to?" So he'd actually he put it out to Ross Ainsley and to Alan Tully. And obviously, with this being a completely new thing for me, I was pretty nervous. I never slept for a few nights. And thankfully, they've both came back with positive. So I'm delighted with that, because guys of that stature.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What I've noticed with your book is, like, I'm friends with a lot of the young pipers. You've seen a lot of the young competing pipers on the circuit standing there. I've seen Callum Wind playing a tune with you in one of your things that you promoted there. Like that. That's if you're an accordion player promoting a book of pipe music, and you've got the young competing pipers that are out there doing it, promoting it that way, you're on a winner. It's obvious.
But the other thing is, these young guys wouldn't play it if they didn't like it.
Oh, exactly.
So you've scored originally, because there's nothing fussier than pipers.
And that's exactly what was just said there. It's not about how you think the music is. Not about
you're a bit fussy sometimes, Ross, aren't you? Pipers can be fussy.
Fuzzy,
no fuzzy.
Oh, fuzzy. I am. No, but like you said,
yeah, they know what they like.
The main thing is how other people interpret it.
Yeah.
And if you've got all these young up and coming, dedicated competing pipers, showing off your book and your music just now, it's great. It's a great thing to see.
I played a couple of your jigs the other day in the just a wee trailer, and they're crackers, absolute beauties. And I put an old trad one right in the middle of them, on purpose, just to say, look at this, they go together. Here's a new tune that can go with an old tune, and that's when you've cracked it, because they're all matching. So it sounded brilliant. So it's broad tunes. Broad tunes. Do you fancy giving us another wee tune? Anything you want?
I'll try another one. Yeah.
Sounds good. What are you fancying this time?
I was going to play a couple of reels, but I've kind of changed my mind at the last minute. I'll just play a couple of simple marches, written in 2/4 time, but you know what I mean, like the kind of quicker marches.
Yeah.
First one's called McGregor's March. There's a guy I used to work beside called Gregor McGregor. I used to say he worked beside me, and I used to say it's Gregor McGregor of the Clan MacDonald. So he was a keen piper though, Gregor, and I think he was a good piper. And the second one is called the Surrey Firefighters Pipes and Drums. So we'll give it a go. A couple of these simple type tunes.
And these are both in the new book as well.
Both in the book, yep.
Both in the new book. Brilliant.
We'll give it a wee go.
Gay Gardens, Ross. Gay Gardens.
That's it. I saw you doing the Highland Fling earlier, Ross. So I know you're a good dancer.
Did you see that? Did you see that?
That's his old army days coming out when he was in the Black Watch. They had to do the Highland dancing as well.
But you can't say the Gay Gardens now. It's can you?
The Happy Highlanders.
The Happy Highlanders.
I heard something else that's much worse.
What? You brilliant. Like
Swinging like a piper.
swinging, absolutely. Like straight away, going into each of these, you could easily split a traditional tune in the middle of that, no bother.
Aye.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic.
And you could also march down Pitlochry High Street to that, no bother with your kilt swinging. You good?
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
No, great stuff. Great stuff.
Brilliant. Yeah.
But Peter mentioned something that he didn't think, and I'll take his lead in this because you definitely know more than me. But on Take the Floor, there was a whole show dedicated to your own composition, or you played all your own compositions.
Yeah,
that's right. And now you've got a book that's just come out that's just pipe tunes. But you're also, was it 2005? You won the Traditional Music Award. Is that right?
Could we get that question back? Is it the Surrey firefighters in British Columbia or in England? Somebody's asking, Gordon.
it's in British Columbia.
Ah, there you go, Alan.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
I think that's where Alan is actually. I think he's out there.
Yeah, it's actually written for. You don't know if you remember Billy O'Donnell, Peter.
I do very well. Drum
Billy
major.
Billy moved out to Canada, so I think he's the drum major out there with that particular band.
Yeah.
So it
was he in the army? Was he in the army out there or something?
No, he was in the army here.
In the army here.
Yes, aye.
Anyway, he's always exceptionally smart and full dress when you see him.
Yeah, I think since he's went out to Canada, he's actually got more Scottish than he was when he was here. But
well, have you done? I'm sure you've played abroad at things and all that as well. Have you not noticed that when you go to these Burns suppers, they care more about Burns in Bangladesh than they do here?
Absolutely.
All these expats that are desperate to grab a hold of anything. And even the English folk go because they've got nothing. So they go to the Burns suppers as well.
Yeah.
It's good. But tell me, so other stuff, all these tunes. Another thing, you've got an incredibly musical family. Your bairns are there in Uprud.
Aye, they are.
A lot of competition going on with the guys as well.
Have you got three kids that are all players? Is that right?
Yeah, my eldest is Cleland. He's 15, and then there's Blythe, my girl. Cleland's playing accordion. Blythe, she's playing. Her main instrument was piano, but she's playing accordion. Has been for a few years. And then there's Inva, Inver's 12. They play an accordion as well. So it's funny though.
You must have a massive whoosh.
Oh, it's not massive, but there's always tunes. There's always tunes going on.
I think that's brilliant.
We had a big session today because they've all been preparing videos for a big international competition that's it's normally held over in Castelfidardo. It's a guy called Renzo Reggieri, who's a big jazz guy, but he runs this big international festival. But because the COVID, they're doing it as a virtual thing, so you've got to send in videos. So they've been working on their pieces and getting
that's grim. You didn't even get to eat Italian food.
Exactly.
Look at this. This man's now saying he played with Billy O'Donnell's uncle Bert O'Donnell in Alloa.
I remember. Aye, that'll be right enough because I remember his uncle. Aye.
That's Alan. That's Alan. That's a. Oh, there we go. It's a small world. But yeah, so that's a competition in Italy. But the boys, was it Portugal or something? Was that the?
Yeah, that was the World Champions. That was the Trophy Mondial. And that was in Portugal last year. And yeah, that was a great experience.
Must have been.
The standard at some of these things is incredible, you know.
And the kind of music they're competing with, I take it it's not Scottish they play when they go to Portugal. Is it like continental? And
it was continental. Well, there's two different sections the boys were in. It was the continental, and then there was a section for variety, so you could play a wee bit of everything in that. But as I say, it's been
what an experience! What an experience!
Aye, and even just for me to hear some of the senior guys that are out there and playing, even the classical guys, you know, it's it's a.
Are you judging one of these competitions soon?
No. No, thankfully not. I would say that the standard's so high, you know, it would be out of my league for adjudicating these things.
Fantastic. See, when they go to play then, is there a lot of piano box players or is there a lot of button box?
There's actually, I would say there's probably more more 5 rows than
more
piano.
5 rows, yeah. But, so how come the boys ended up taking up the piano box rather than the... Well, the boy and lass, I mean, 2 boys.
Well, again, I suppose similar to my story, what happened with getting them started in music was that I would been up the town in Dunfermline, and you remember I don't know if it's still on the go, but the shop Cast Generators. Not sure if we can say that on there, but Cast Generators it was.
Right.
And I went into the shop, and there was a wee 48 bass Honer in there, and it was a wee piano box, and it was in great condition. So again, I phoned home and asked asked my wife if Cleland, my eldest, would fancy the accordion. So he came on the phone, but he's absolutely as laid back as you come, Cleland. There's just, you feel like giving him a shake at times. He's so laid back. But I got him on the phone and said, "Look, son, got a wee accordion. Would you fancy taking it up?" And he went, "All right." So after that, it was there was only one person I was going to contact at that point, was my good friend Keith Dixon. So that
was the very first trio I ever played in, was Keith Dixon and myself and a local drummer.
Is that right? Yeah.
When I was 14, I think. And Keith's wife Sheena and myself were in the same year at Bigger High School together.
That's right. I remember Sheena saying that.
So I used to skive off school and go to their house and practice with Keith because he was left school at the time. So that was my, instead of maths, I was learning 2/4 marches. Ross, you've changed position there, Ross. You look a bit like the laird sitting in the corner.
I came on to show the computer was out of batteries.
Was that what it was? I thought you'd got to let the cat in or something.
The cable doesn't reach, so I had to go and take my seat. Yeah.
But yeah, you can't get anybody better than Keith to push them along the right way.
Well, he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant for them, to be fair, and they really respect him, and they almost see him as a mate. I believe people have told me he's mellowed, but I've he's the kids think the world of me. So, and that's a big thing, you know. There's a connection there with them all. So it's good. But it's funny, Ross was talking about just earlier before we came on air, just maybe about teaching and how you get kids involved. And the one thing that struck me when the kids did go to Keith was that when I was learning, I think I went about 2 or 3 months just learning a theory book, just the note values and scales and all that. And see, within about a week or 2 weeks, the kids were playing a wee tune. Yeah. And I said to Keith, I said, geez, I says, when I was learning, you know, it was theory, and I says, we never played a tune for about 3 months. And he says, well, the problem is, he says, we get them playing a tune because if you don't get them, catch them early, then they'll switch off, and there's too many other things they're competing with in life to, you know. So
well, I mean, I'm teaching in the schools full time up here, and I follow exactly the same principle, that we can get them onto some sort of wee tune as quickly as possible, and then you introduce the theory as we go along.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen them learning a tune, and then at the end of it saying, well, what key was that on? I'm not very sure. Right, let's learn the scale now for that tune.
Yeah.
All right, but they can play the tune, but then they learn that, and they go, oh, aye, that all makes sense. Because to sit and have to imagine sitting down scales.
That's a hard thing that, or quite a tough thing for the pipers is because it's very unnatural for your fingers to do anything but like to hold and support a chanter, for your lips to not be strong enough to blow a chanter, and for your ears to definitely recognise that sounds not right. You've got a very small window to get these kids interested in it, to get their confidence that they're actually learning something that's going to be good, because the chanter isn't going to be the end product, but there's so many opportunities for that chanter to sound wrong. And another, like if the parents are going away and they're saying, right, go and play the piano, plinky plonk, that, like, very quickly you can get nice things. You can put colours on a piano that'll make the right sound, but you won't have a physical barrier, which is your lips. So you know, it's quite hard for and then the theory behind it, because then you've got to introduce that everything that's on the pipes isn't actually quite what's written in music. So then you've got to like explain that it's transposed a little bit. So it might not be B flat or B, or it might be somewhere in the middle. But
it might just be out of tune.
Aye.
But
the teaching side of things is dead important to keep, no matter what instrument it is, like effective practice, and to keep that, just that little bit at the start. If you just keep going, just that one extra 2 or 3, 4 weeks, you'll get it. You will. And
I think you're right when you spoke about Keith Dixon. Keith, he's almost like their pal. But at the same time, there's a line that they can, if they go the wrong way, they're going to get a bollocking. So, but you need that wee bit of discipline there along the way somewhere.
Of course you do.
There's Scott Murray, he's agreeing, that's good.
I played in a band with Scott. Is that Scott that played with Perth Pipe Band?
It will be. He
played in Scottish Gas when I was there as well.
Yeah.
But no, but it's been fantastic having you on, Gordon. This has been great. We could speak all night. We've got 10 minutes already, but it's our show, Ross, so we can take what we want.
I know.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Gordon, absolutely.
No, thanks. I mean, there's that many people I'd like to thank, but maybe just a couple that I've not mentioned that I would also like to thank, if it's okay, would be Stuart Liddell for doing the foreword, and Martin Gillespie. They guys have been very encouraging as well. And I only found out many years later that my band actually played at Stuart Liddell's sister's wedding in Inverary. And I'm actually quite glad that I didn't know, because I would have probably hit loads of wrong notes that night, knowing that Inverary Pipe Band was sitting there.
Yeah.
Do you ken something, Gordon? These names that you're mentioning, like Stuart Liddell and Martin Gillespie, and Alan Tully and all that. I think you've gone in at the top end of piping here. you're doing all right.
No, I'm delighted, and I'm just delighted that these guys have taken the time out to even consider it in the first place. But hopefully the book will keep going well, and if not, I've ticked some off my bucket list, so I'm happy.
Or we'll look forward to book 2.
Book
Well,
2, exactly
who knows?
that. Yeah.
There we go.
Listen, folks, if you please go on and look at Gordon's website and see if you fancy the book. Give it a go. Gordon sent me one up. I've been through it. The jigs are cracking. I love the jigs, but I've always liked jigs. There's great 2/4s on there, everything. Swingy stuff.
Something we could promote in the show, actually, Peter, is we'll every week we could do it, or we'll do the best wherever somebody can get the most extreme photograph of your book, because that seems to be the theme just now. So let's see it at the top of Everest. Let's see it.
That'd be great.
I could have had it in the sea with me today.
Aye.
Yeah.
No, that's great. But listen, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. And
Gordon, it's been a pleasure.
Aye,
Keep composing, stay safe, and look after yourself and the family. And your wife must put up with something else. Does your wife play?
she plays the spoons.
She must put up with some of you guys. Anyway, thanks very much. Best to you and best to the family.
Thanks for your time.
Take care, man.
All the best.
Thanks, man.
All
Cheers.
the best, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Nice guy.
Great, really, and and one of the things that we didn't mention on the show there, like, he's an award winner as well. You know, the Traditional Music Award. I think it was 2005. On top of that,
he's won all sorts of things. And
yeah.
another big thing we didn't get time to go over. He loves continental music as well. It's right into
when I was studying him for the introducing him tonight, like the European stuff that he does is, and that's the thing about the box, and it is, you could switch and you could be in Paris in a second. It's absolutely fantastic.
I've thoroughly enjoyed that.
Good man, Jamie. Thank you. Hey.
Thank you very much to Karen. Thanks to Karen back there for keeping
I quite like you in a tie, Peter. I like that. You look.
I've actually just got what Karen said. Now that it's just the two of us, it does look like the news. It does look a bit like the news.
You need to shuffle paper like this.
Waiting for me to do the weather or something like that. Tomorrow in Shetland, there's a good chance of rain.
Aye, it's a good chance of rain.
Every other day. Anyway, no, that's been great. Just magic, folks. Thanks for joining us. Jeez, that's some comment. There we go. Anyway, thank you so much, folks, for joining us. Watch out for us. We're going to be on every week now. 8 o'clock to 9:30 for the Scottish sessions. Everything is going on to YouTube, so you can go back and watch everything on YouTube. You can watch it back on Facebook.
Cheers, Alex.
Whatever you fancy. Share it about for us. Share it all over the place. And
just before we came on air, Peter, I was speaking to one of the managers at the Pitlochry Care Home, and they're going to trial this for us. So
fantastic!
Speak to them tomorrow, and they're going to start giving us some feedback on.
Yeah. When are we on next, Mary? Mary, we're on every Sunday at 8 o'clock UK time. We're going to be on, and we always have 2 guests with us. There's Alison Young there. Thanks, Alison. Thank you to you folks. You are watching. We're making it happen, and it's going to develop and get bigger and bigger. We're 15 minutes over time now, but who cares? It's our show.
Over whose time?
Exactly. We're doing all right. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Mind to get in touch with us if you've got any ideas. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah, very much. We're happy to do whatever you want to listen to as well. So.
And hopefully we're going to have different instruments: accordions, fiddles, pipes, you name it.
And singing.
Singing, yeah. And we're even maybe going to have a wee bit of kind of people on that can do a bit of Scottish folklore history, that kind of stuff.
Cheers, John.
We have got lots and lots to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a good winter. We've got a great. We can't reveal everything straight away, but behind the scenes, we've got an absolutely brilliant theme to take us all through the winter, which is going to be dead exciting, but dead helpful to a lot of people as well. So
yeah. Anyway, hi Harry, how you doing? Good to see you, Harry, back there. There's a lady, Elsa Shan. I'm sure I know that lady. So sure Gordon does. Anyway, let's
wrap
right.
it up. Yeah, that for a first show, you've not been bad. Let me tell you. I tell you what.
I've tried not to be. Hi, Scotty Murray. What are you doing? I've tried not to be.
That's my
Hopefully,
sister, so that's a definite no.
what?
That's my sister that's just texted there.
Oh.
What about taking online phone questions? Absolutely not. Definitely not. No way. Not from you.
Anyway, folks, and Ross, if you've enjoyed yourselves half as much as I have, that means I've enjoyed myself twice as much as you have.
I have. And you.
I reckon I have.
Double the amount of you haven't.
Anyway, it's good night from me.
There's a good night from him.